What's up, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Believe in Falcons. I'm your host, Will McFadden, joining me as always on a Sunday after a great Falcons win at home in a game where there are a lot of Bears fans. Ovie, how you doing? It's Ovie Mughelli, former Falcons fullback. I fucked that up. We're gonna start again.
I wish you kept it. I fucked that up. Sorry. All right, let's do it.
All right.
Hmm.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Believe in Falcons. I am your host, Will McFadden. Joining me, as always, after a Falcons game is former Falcons fullback Ovie Mughelli. Ovie, how you doing, man?
Doing good, man.
I did it better that time around, didn't I? I
You
messed up
did.
the first intro. That was
Yeah.
a second take at it. But
Movie magic. Movie magic.
you know, we learn, and we grow.
Oh.
It was a good game. Falcons won. I don't know if we learned anything about the Falcons after this victory, but I would file this under the "we'll take it" category. Always take a win like this. It's better than the alternative. I'm curious, what was your perspective, Ovie, kind of watching the game today?
Well, I mean, like the rest of the sane world, some of us were hoping that Arthur Blank would see that, this Marcus Mariota guy throwing balls when he's on the ground and across his body is not the guy. And some of us were kind of wishing that he showed Arthur Smith that we could show him that, hey, we told you not the guy. You being stubborn is going to, get us hurt. And we kind of got some of that. And Marcus kind of did better, but better than trash ain't, much to compare to, because the last game was trash. He played terrible. He admitted it.
He did.
So he wasn't fully trashed this game, made some mistakes, threw some balls that could have been intercepted. He could have made it one of those here we go again games. We got lucky, really. I feel like every game, I used to not be on the, hey, let's go Ritter so hard, but now it's like hard to not see it, because you look at Marcus, you know what you got. You know he's not going to be, Tom Brady or Peyton Manning or any one of these guys, but still you're just like, all right, we're losing to almost losing games every single week because of Marcus. And I know one guy's gonna lose a game, but sometimes one guy does if he's your quarterback. So watching this game, I was laser focused on how's Marcus doing? What would Ritter have done? How's Marcus doing? And it's still at a point where I'd love to sneak into practice and see what Desmond Ritter's doing. I'd love to get into the mind of Arthur Smith and realize like what he's. I guess I kind of get what his hang up is, that he's just, I guess, afraid to change, or afraid that the ramp up here for Desmond is going to be too much when he knows what he has. I guess the devil you know is better than the devil you don't, and he knows this devil in Marcus and is kind of figured out how to almost play around it. So that was a long version of what my thoughts were. I really feel like I'm glad we got the win, but I'm still wondering if there is ever anything that could happen to make Arthur Smith say, you know what, Ritter, get in there.
Well, I think, and I'm not sure if you saw this article from Ian Rappaport, but heading to the stadium today, I got a notification from him that was. He didn't send me a notification. I phrased that
You could have
poorly.
if you wanted to. You're friends like that.
The 13 people that still work with Elon Musk at Twitter
Yes.
sent out this notification to everybody who follows Ian Rappaport and has alerts on their phone. But basically, I think it was the clearest answer yet of what the Falcons' mindset is with the quarterback situation, which is, as long as the Falcons are in the playoff hunt, Marcus Mariota is going to be the guy. And basically, I think it's that black and white for this team. And I think part of it, and you can speak to this a little bit more clearly, but it's more, it seems, about the message that it would send to the locker room. And like it or not, the Falcons have won 5 games with Marcus Mariota. They have overachieved, and
very much so.
He has played a part of it. And yes, they're in very close games seemingly every week, but you know what we kind of wanted coming into the season was for them to play close games against the better teams on their schedule.
That's true.
That was improvement, and they're doing it. And we shouldn't necessarily fault them for that, even if they're probably not going to luck into one of these outbursts where it's like, holy crap, the Falcons just put 38 points up against the Minnesota Vikings. I don't think they're gonna be capable of doing that, but Marcus Mariota is keeping them in games and winning them games. And like it or not, I think as long as the Falcons remain alive and as long as their objective is let's make something of this season, he's going to be in there at quarterback.
That was well said. And the one thing that you brought up that I didn't think about, and I saw an article a while back. It's about the message it does send, and about the culture of the new Falcons with Arthur Smith, and
Yep.
how important loyalty is, sometimes to a fault. And the message, and you asked me about my perspective, you're absolutely right. If he does to Marcus what he did to him before in Tennessee and benches him, even if Ritter plays horribly, it's hard to go back to Marcus and have the same sort of relationship
Yeah.
that you would have if you stuck with him through the rough times. And because we are not, I mean, yes, we were in a playoff hunt, but because this is I think one of the first real years where everyone has their feet underneath them, Dean Pease
Hmm.
and Arthur Smith, and everybody's showing what we can do with our limited talent, but still what we can do. I think he's establishing, putting those building blocks and building that foundation. Part of the foundation is that, hey, you work hard, you show out for me, you do what you're supposed to do in practice, because from all accounts, Marcus is one of the greatest practice players ever. Because he has to be, because talent, ain't his strong point. So you got to have the intangibles, and suppose he's done well with that. But if you do the right things, I'm going to do right by you, and that is not what all coaches do. And knowing that that's how he operates, it means something for the players there. It means something for the players who could come there, for free agents. It means something for the staff as far as accountability, responsibility, but again, loyalty and trust. He does an amazing job, because other coaches don't do this well of a job at not hanging players to dry, not putting players
Yeah.
out there, not saying, I don't know what the quarterback was doing, or I don't know what the OC was doing. I wouldn't have called that play. That's not his MO. We don't like that. He's not as demonstrative as Dan Quinn or some of our other head coaches, but I think that he's making a statement with that, and he doesn't give a flying flip what you or I or the fans think. And as much as that
Yes.
irritates me, as
No,
much
that's
as I
my
wanted to kind
favorite
of
thing.
show him, like, hey, man, I'm right. Me sitting here in my basement talking about this football. You should listen to me, and Will, of course, but really me. I think it's time to change Ritter. You should do it. And he's like, he's not even like aware that we exist. He's like, I don't care. Are you part of the
Yeah.
team?
It
No. Okay, I don't
is my
care.
favorite thing about him, though. And
Yeah,
like, by and large, I do think the coaching staff, and to your point, like, they've grown, they've developed. I think that, especially in the lead up to this game, a lot of questions about,
it's a lot of questions.
From Bears people about why did the Falcons have so many former Bears on their team, and bringing in Ryan Pace, like all that stuff.
Yeah,
I thought it was a great game from Lorenzo Carter, Amir Abdullah, obviously Cordarrelle Patterson,
yeah,
3 former Bears, but the familiarity with the coaching staff, the salary cap being as minimal as it was, these guys frankly were bargains, but they're overperforming, and I
oh
think that's a
yeah,
lot of credit to the coaching staff. Like it or not, at least Arthur Smith has a vision. Like
yeah.
that is more, as to your point, like that's more than a lot of coaches in the NFL. And when you look and you see like what the heck is Josh McDaniels doing in Las Vegas? Or man, Mike McDaniel in Miami has things roll, like coaches either kind of know what they want or they
Yeah.
don't. And you really can kind of find out. I think again, the fact that the Falcons are 5-6 and they've been in
Insane.
mostly every game
Yes.
is a testament to the coaching staff, but it is also a testament to Cordarrelle Patterson just freaking went like Super Saiyan on his kickoff return. And I
Oh,
don't think there was a chance in hell that anybody in that building, all 56,000 announced people, 30,000 of which were Bears fans, I don't think any of them could have stopped Cordarrelle Patterson on that return. How cool was it to see him kind of redeem himself after that fumble? Because I know you were hurting for him after the
yeah.
fumble, for
Oh,
him
it's
to
the
do that on the
worst.
kick return.
It's the worst. I've described a couple of times for the fans who I'm sure listen to every single podcast. I've
All
described
of them.
my uh fumble woes, and just horrible feeling. It's a gut-wrenching feeling of seeing that ball. Everything stops like the Matrix, slow motion. You're looking around, you locate the ball, you see everybody closing in. You just can't get there fast enough to be able
Yeah.
to recover the ball. I felt for him, because you feel like, if we lose, it's on me. It's my fault. And
Yep.
it kind of is. Turnovers are huge. They change a game like that, and his could have. but he erased it immediately with that play. And so, being a special teams guy as a fullback, started out third string fullback, I had to be an ace. And we go over this in practice, and we go over on the field, like the blocking and the angles and like the attitude, and just all we're going to do to make sure our returner has a chance to go and do what Cordarrelle did. But when it actually happens, it's rare when it happens. But when it actually
Right.
happens,
Yeah.
there's no better feeling. And knowing that you got just a rocket back there that has the ability to do what he did at any time, it makes you want to fight your butt off to hold your man, hold your block, knock your guy out, keep him down, because he can do that anytime. So it was great for him, but it was great for the whole special teams unit. And if you watch the game, I feel like that gave a spark to the whole offense and defense.
Yes.
Everyone saw what special teams is doing. It's like, yo, they're pulling their weight. Let's pull ours.
100%. And critically, like that came after a fumble, and it came at a point where the defense had been on the field a lot early in that
Yeah.
game. And so, yeah, does it put the defense right back out there?
Yep.
Maybe it's not the biggest benefit in the world for the defense. So my point's kind of moot there. But yes, I think that it
They're
did provide
energized though.
a
They're
huge spark.
tired.
Exactly.
Yeah, they
Right.
come out there with a different attitude.
And I do, and I, was in the locker room there. We talked to Cordarrelle Patterson. I think I'm gonna throw on the audio of his interview and Michael Walker's interview just on the tail end of this podcast. So,
Mhm.
feel free to keep listening to that if you're listening to this, and you'll hear from them directly. But it definitely provided a spark for this team. It kind of Cordarrelle Patterson said, "Hey, I'm gonna amend for this fumble that I just had, and my guys kind of need me to step up there." But I think that up until that point, like the defense, and by and large, I think the defense was kind of the story of this game, in my
Has to be.
opinion, because they did a lot to really keep the Falcons in it long enough for Cordarrelle Patterson to kind of get them back into the game. How'd you feel about a defense that had 4 sacks against Justin Fields, held him under 100 yards rushing? He had like 350 yards or something in the
Yeah.
last 2 games combined. Like,
Yep.
this was a great, great showing, I think, by Atlanta's defense, even though they allowed 24 points.
Yeah, and not just 4 sacks, I believe 9 tackles for loss. Like, they were
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
backfield, and they were stopping one of the most explosive guys in the last couple of weeks. It was 300+ yards on the ground. It just didn't seem like our offense, especially with how we've been performing the last couple of games, we're
Hmm.
gonna be able to contain Justin Fields. And, we spoke a little bit before we got on, like, Justin Fields is the guy that we could have ended up with. There's a lot of talk about Justin Fields. We don't know what was going on in the war room, but a lot of people wanted him over Kyle Pitts. Some were like,
Yep.
forget that. We got we had Matt Ryan at the time, I believe, and we didn't quite know what the future held. But hey, have Justin Fields sit down, and no, we have so much money in Matt Ryan. Let's not get Fields. But I I, I like Justin. I want him to
Yeah.
succeed, not against us. And it's been great watching his growth. But it's kind of interesting that even with all the greatness that comes with Justin Fields, we held him down. Like we
Hmm.
were able to hold him back with our defense and with our low revenue for talent. And we got our Grady Jarrett's, and Ebikadi's doing a lot better than we thought he would, which is great.
Yep.
But we're not just heavy with talent like some of these other teams, but we were still able to stop the guy that we could have picked it. So I think it's a win in a lot of the minds of Falcons fans who are like, "Ah, man, I wish we had Justin Fields." But wait, we just beat Justin Fields. Okay, well, I guess if we can do that with our quarterback, just imagine what we can do when we get somebody in there who's tailor made for the position. So it's got to be a net positive for Falcons fans, and just really pat on the back to the defense and Dean Pease, because he had guys blitzing and rushing and pulling out and all the movement, and it was throwing off the young quarterback and had him to where he was not comfortable in his shoes.
Absolutely. And I think that, to your point, yeah, it's a little bit of a budget defense, not a lot of household names on this group, but I think it's a smart defense.
Yeah.
And in talking to guys like Rashawn Evans, is one of my favorite people to talk to after a game, because he's just a grown ass man. Like, he's just an adult human being. And you realize that when you get to talk to people who are just like professionals in every sense of the word,
Blue
and will sit
collar.
there and
Yeah.
say, like,
Go to work.
yeah, no, here's what we were trying to do. Like, here was our approach, and yeah, this was our mindset. And the key thing about why it's important to have like these smart, mature players
Mhm.
in position like this, I have to imagine that as a defensive player, today was just boring as hell. And you had to be so focused on the details
Yeah.
for the entirety of that game. There could not be a single play where you were not, all right, pre snap motion. How are we adjusting to this? Where do I keep my leverage? Am I rushing the upfield shoulder? Where is he in relation to me? And like all of that stuff that just wears and drains on you play in and
Yep.
play out. They didn't let up once. And one of the key things that I think Arthur Smith brought up in his post game press conference was if the Bears were going to run Justin Fields like a running back, and he carried the ball 18 times, the most on the team, the most of any player in this game, they were going to be very physical with him and just treat him like a running back. And look, like
Yeah.
running backs wear out over the course of a
Yep.
game. Like you take a lot of punishment. You don't need me telling you that, Ovie, but it was pretty effective, I think. They just said, "Look, like Justin Fields, we're going to let you get yours, but we're going to make you pay." And I got to bring up Troy Anderson here, Troy Tracker. What's up? That third down play where he just kind of knifed right in and tackled Justin Field, I think is very symbolic of the day that this defense had kind of overall in making Justin Fields feel it all
Yeah.
throughout the game.
No, they did a great job of doing that, and that's something that I think, Cam Newton could probably tell you about how
Yeah.
that wears on you after a while. I mean, even someone as big as him who can take the hits after your, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, see,
He
it
must
it
hate
starts to
Keanu
wear.
Neal, dude.
Yeah,
Like, Keanu
yeah,
Neal absolutely made Cam Newton hurt. He and Deion Jones
yeah,
single-handedly, like, knocked Cam Newton out of the league, dude.
because and that was the thing that they talked about, all before. "Hey, we're gonna treat him like a running back." Like, you want to
Yeah,
make quarterbacks feel uncomfortable running. You want to make them, like Matt Ryan, looking around left to right and ready to slide. You don't want them feeling like, "Oh, I'm gonna be Michael Vick and I'm gonna do all these, spin moves and stiff arms. And I'm gonna run through you." No, not everyone can be Josh Allen. Not everyone's gonna be able
yeah,
to, make some of these plays and be smart with their body. You're gonna be open, looking at one guy hits you in your blind side, and that hit's going to keep you from doing your main job, which is being quarterback. So great, I think, game plan and a very effective game plan because after a while, quarterbacks remember that, ooh, this is why I didn't want to be running back because this thing
yeah.
hurts.
Oh, yeah, and especially and I thought the refs actually kinda kept a lot of the flags in the pocket today, which I appreciated. It was
Absolutely.
not a flag-heavy game, but that play kinda at the end when Grady landed on Justin Field, like, I was really worried that something was coming out, and it
If he
very
was Tom
easily could
Brady, it
have
would have been
happened.
flagged. It's that simple. If he
That's
was
true.
Tom Brady, it
That's
would have
true.
been flagged because he's a running quarterback,
Yep.
because he's a more athletic quarterback. They're like, nah, we'll let it slide. But
Yeah.
if it would have been Peyton Manning or Tom Brady or some other like statuesque quarterback, don't touch him, don't touch him. Ooh, he might break. Don't touch him.
I wonder what else those quarterbacks have in common, but,
Yeah,
uh
exactly right.
but I think that the Falcons did a very, very good job kind of going right up to that line of physicality without going over,
Yeah,
and especially with quarterback who can get down on the turf in a flash, can run right
yeah,
by you in a flash, can
that's
like
the
it's a
hardest thing.
it's tough issue. Yeah. So I want to talk about real quick the injuries to Kyle Pitts, Taquan Graham. In a win, those are clearly two negatives. I think they're based on one report. Jordan Schultz basically reported that sources are saying it's not as serious an injury for Kyle Pitts, a right knee. He took a hard hit over the middle. Arthur Smith after the game said, "Hey, I'm not going to comment on that. It's kind of just what he opened the press conference with. Like, no updates on Taquan or Kyle. We're going to wait on imaging. 24, 48 hours is the timeline that he gave. I would assume on Monday, he's not going to say anything either. And then we'll find out on Wednesday. But just purely on my eye test, and this is 100% speculative, so it
Hmm.
doesn't mean anything except I was there to see it. So I'm going to tell you what I saw. Taquan really did not move after he went down on the ground. The
Mm,
ref very quickly started waving for somebody to come over.
mm.
Guys around him just seemed a little bit more flustered, and they obviously carted him off.
Yeah,
That doesn't seem very good when it's
no,
a knee related situation, and I'll just leave it at that.
I've been there.
Kyle Kyle took a hit over the middle that was very weird and odd, and it almost at one point looked like, did he hyperextend his knee? Did he get hit in the groin region? Sometimes dudes react like that when it's just a straight shot to the balls. Like,
Hmm.
so you never know. I was like, is it a rib thing? He was able to walk off. He then walked into the tunnel. But again, based on one report on Twitter, but Jordan Schultz, he's been right before. It seems like maybe things are better on the Kyle Pitts end. Do any of those, which of that are you more focused on? Because Taquan Graham has been underratedly balling this year in his
Yeah.
second season, but obviously Kyle Pitts is Kyle Pitts.
Kyle Pitts is Kyle Pitts. We've been waiting for him to, put the cape on for real, and really just take off, because being the guy we saw last year, we know how just gigantic his role could be if the quarterback gets him the ball and if we, build more around him.
Can I
And
give you a really hot take though?
sure,
I think the Falcons are a better offense without Kyle Pitts in the mix
that's a
this
very
year.
hot take.
This year. I would argue that they have looked kind of worse over the last couple of weeks because Marcus Mariota is trying to
Trying to
get the
force the
ball
ball
to
to Kyle
Kyle
Pitts.
Pitts.
Yeah.
Like, I think that they are a more balanced unit without that factor, even though objectively they're a better offense with Kyle Pitts involved. Like, that's not what I'm saying. It's just maybe it's a little bit of a Ewing theory for those that are familiar with the Bill Simmons Ewing theory.
That's a very hot take. I think it's a very hot wrong take. I mean, it sounds cute, but Kyle Pitts is like saying Tony Gonzalez. Tony Gonzalez, no, I
I mean,
don't
it's
think
fair.
we're not good with Tony Gonzalez because they're trying to force him the ball. But yeah, we could force Tony the ball double coverage and he'd still get open.
Yeah. Oh, you
And
don't like red zone touchdowns? Cool.
yeah, it's okay. Yeah. And Kyle's a red zone beast. If you give him a chance to, he can be. So I know, like, our defense, one of the worst red zone defenses out there. So we need, one of the best red zone offenses out there, and Kyle makes us better with that. But I do hope he comes back. I've been my last play in the NFL, I got carted off, and people came around me and they're like, ugh, they seemed concerned because they saw my knee go the opposite direction. It was like
Yeah, it was
MCL
tough.
and little ACL piece, a little of everything. My knee was just a hot mess. And
How's it doing, by the way? You healed?
it still sucks. No, it hasn't
Yeah.
healed.
No?
For the rest of my life, I have pain in my knee on the inside. The
Oh, that sucks.
surgery sucked, and I deal with the pain now. It's not like a 10 out of 10. It's not horrible pain. It's like just a constant, like, humming 5 out of 10. So it's
Hmm.
just, just live with pain. I'm in my basement. I was coming down to the basement today, and going down the stairs. I drove from Wake Forest University because we had the 20-year anniversary
Go
of my
Deeks.
2002 Seattle Bowl win against Oregon, and who was it? Ontario Smith, Lodi Nada were on the team. Like, no one expected us to win, but we beat their asses because we're awesome. We're Wake. And we beat Syracuse this game too, so it was fun seeing the young guys and us old guys be on the field, and we all waved and stuff, and I was doing my pointing and stuff. So I drove back
You're like
from
the
Wake
Miami
Forest.
Dolphins undefeated team just getting
Yes.
together every
Oh yeah,
anniversary.
yeah. We felt like we were the coolest kids in town because we were. So I came back from Wake tonight, this morning, this afternoon. Got here, came down the stairs. I'm like, ooh, my legs don't work. Okay, I'm old. I'm 42. My knees are not supposed to work fully. So, but besides that, I'm great. Because there are guys much worse than me. So just a little knee pain, a little back pain, a little shoulder pain, but I'm good. But what I do love is that Falcons football is exciting. Win or
Yeah.
lose, it's exciting football. And I was like, I gotta make time to watch this. I gotta. I think, wife, you drive. So I'm gonna watch on my little phone while we're driving. It is fun watching us be semi-relevant. And I know we're not
Yeah.
going to the Super Bowl, but still, we're beating teams that are good teams, and we're getting within like one touchdown from good teams. And this wasn't happening last year at all. Last year we were just pouring it all and saying, like, let's get like a number 1 draft pick. Let's do something because this ain't it. But this year, even if everything stopped, we lost every game. Well, I don't want to lose every game, so we'll find a negative way to go. But this has been much better than a lot of us thought. A lot of us thought.
100%. I mean, like last year, yeah, you're beating the Jets by like a field goal in London.
Ooh,
And
yeah.
the Jets are good this year. Ironically, the Dolphins are good this year. Like the teams
I
that
know,
the
right?
Falcons were, but you're losing by like 24 to Tampa. And this year, you're kind of a bad call away from maybe getting a chance to beat Tampa, right? So
Yeah.
there is improvement, and that is, I think, my big picture takeaway of the season is like individual games we can nitpick, right?
Yeah.
And that's because we love the team. Like you are hardest about the things that you love. And game to game, yeah, we're going to sit here and be like, why are they doing this? They could be doing this. But like, if you pull out, if you get to the macro view, this year has been an overwhelming success for this Atlanta Falcons team.
Oh yeah.
And I think that a lot of what they're doing is transferable and that the future should look bright because
Very bright.
when you go from, hey, our fifth corner is on a 1 year, $1 million contract to, all right, our fifth corner is a 3 year, $13 million veteran who has been around the league and in the league for 9 years.
Hmm.
Yeah, like if we have to call on him, we trust him a little bit more than an
Yeah.
undrafted free agent who's been in the league 2 years and we signed. Like that's kind of what we're talking about here. So I want to end on this, Ovi. Washington is up next. And on the one
Hot.
hand, scares the heck out of me to go play in Washington because I
Yeah.
that field ruins careers.
Players.
And yes, like it will turf monster will eat you up there.
Yep.
And Washington, I mean, win over Philly, absolutely crushed their game today. How concerned are you about the Ron Rivera, Taylor Heineke, Washington Commanders?
I'm very concerned because they give zero Fs. They just don't they don't care right now. They literally, and I've been on teams like that where it's us against the world. No one expects jack from us, and so we're gonna go and play like our hair's on fire because we have literally nothing to lose. And that is one of the most dangerous teams when you got a cornered animal that is I won't even say cornered. I think animal just doesn't care. It's house money. They're playing with house money,
Yeah.
and they have shown that every single win makes them more dangerous and gives them more confidence. And they're saying, "Yo, we just took out the Eagles, the Falcons, the Falcons. That they're supposed to scare us. No, we're not scared. And in fact, we see an opportunity to keep on piling up on these wins. So I'm not comfortable with this team, even though beginning of the year, this was a W, not a W for Washington. It was a W for a win that we're like, oh yeah, second half of the season, the Commanders, we're beating them, but now we're gonna have to bring our best, and we can though. I do feel that
Yeah.
we can beat them.
They were Washington was 3 of 13 on third down in this game against Houston. Oh my
Yeah.
god. They actually didn't I'm kind of like looking at it for the first time. That's the bad thing about, being at the game in person. And it's kind of why sometimes I like to just sit on my couch and watch a lot of the games because you get
Mm,
more of the like I have no idea really what happened
same
around
here.
the league. So I'm looking at it for the first time. But their defensive line and they're gonna get Chase Young back for the first time this season. That's what's expected. Hasn't been official yet, but he's been on IR all year long. They
Mm,
activated his 21-day window, which comes to an end, I believe, on Wednesday. He was not activated for this game, but Ron Rivera said, all expectations are that he will be called up before that 21-day
of
window
course.
expires. They got 5 sacks in this game. Josh Allen, Montez Sweat had 2 each. Deron Payne had 1. Like their defensive line is so freaking good.
Yeah.
Uh, but again, Atlanta, does that matter so much? Atlanta's played some really good defensive lines. San
Yep.
Francisco, I know they were banged up, but like it didn't really matter. So it's kind of, I wonder if it's a style makes fights type of deal. And
Yeah.
is this a good matchup? But any final thoughts just before we get out of here, Evie?
Nah, man. Go Falcons, go Deeks. I'm excited. We both my teams got wins this weekend, and it's a fun ride that I don't want to get off anytime soon. So let's see what we do with the Commanders. I think we can get this W.
And notably, our fantasy team that I don't even think you're aware fully exists.
I'm
Uh,
terrible at
we're
fantasy.
we're on the playoff path, man. You're
Are
you're
we? This is
technically a
great.
co-owner. Yeah, yeah.
I
Fullbacks
am
matter
so
in
excited
the
as a silent owner of this fantasy team. I'm
as a
very proud of
limited
what we've
partner.
done. Yes. Yeah, I'm a silent partner, but I'll
Yep.
take all the credit, none of the blame.
There you go. Well, we're making a march, man. So everybody, please stay tuned. Later in the week, we'll have a preview of the Washington game. I'm gonna just throw a reminder out. Baby McFadden is due December 27th, so we're getting close.
Nice.
I may not be here for a playoff run with y'all. Gonna take paternity leave and not do a
Priorities, man.
podcast. So
Priorities.
we'll figure out what the game plan is, Ovie. We'll talk about it. I'm already in talks with the fine people at Believe to figure out what the game plan is. But for our lovely listeners, just want to keep that on your radar. At some point, I'm ducking out, but you'll be in great hands, whatever happens. But please follow us on Twitter until that goes under, at Ovie Mughelli 34, at Will McFadden. Let everybody know where they can find the podcast: Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, all that good stuff. Rate and review, like, subscribe. Today's episode, as always, presented by Bet Online. Until next time, everybody, take care.